What is going on, YouTube? Gabus here, and welcome to the 7th episode of the Tech Pills weekly live stream. Hope everyone's doing alright. So let's begin with the first very sad news of today, and that's Psyonix ending support for Linux and macOS. Alright, so first off, of course, I'm just gonna care about Linux here because macOS, to be honest, they deserve to have had their support interrupted because they don't even support OpenGL anymore, so, and they don't support Vulkan. But anyway, the news here is very sad. It's one that really pissed me off once I've heard of it, and according to a Gaming on Linux article, the last patch to the game for these two platforms will be on March, and it will basically disable all of the online functionalities, including, well, online play, which is the main thing that Rocket League is really about. Basically, when the March patch hits, we will only have an offline game, which is very sad. Apparently, the excuse is, and I'm quoting, "As we continue to upgrade Rocket League with new technologies, it's no longer viable for us to maintain support for the macOS and Linux SteamOS platforms." Now, to me, this is just being lazy, and to be honest, I kind of saw this happening once they got bought by Epic Games, because that's most of what Epic Games does. They say things and they can't keep up with them. They said that once they acquired Psyonix, they said that nothing would have changed. And here we are talking about how everything is changing, at least for us Linux users. And the really sad thing is that this was one of the greatest games we had on Linux. It's an esport title, and it's been out for a while now, but it's really one of the best games we have on the platform. And seeing it go really hurts at this point. Now, they did mention that playing through Proton will be possible, but not supported. And hopefully, this means that we still will be able to play the game. But my biggest fear here is that if they decide to include some kind of dumb DRM or anti-cheat, that it will just break any kind of Proton compatibility. I really hope they don't. At least this way, whoever wants to still keep trying to play the game can do it through Proton. But at this point, I don't really know what to expect from them. This has been really a bad move from them. And we're customers, and we're just customers, just like the Windows players and the PlayStation or Xbox players. We're all customers, all the same, and we did not deserve this treatment. They said in a further update, they said that they're upgrading to a higher version of their techs, and the problem here is that the macOS and Linux native clients depend on the DirectX 9 implementation. for their OpenGL renderer to function. I think they're going either to DirectX 11 or DirectX 12 at this point, most likely the latter. But I don't see any reason why they shouldn't have gone with Vulkan instead, considering that it's overall a better platform. It's cross-platform, and the performance is about the same, if not better, than DirectX 12. Not even mentioning the compatibility. I mean, if someday they want to release Rocket League for, I don't know, for phones, if they have a Vulkan implementation of their engine, they can just make it work effortlessly on, I mean, on an Android phone. And I don't really know what the deal is here, to be honest. It's just sad news. Of course, you can ask for a refund if you want to, and they said that if you bought the game through Steam, you are eligible to a refund through the Steam refund process. But fun fact, they will not refund any microtransaction that you've done in the game. So the refunds are only for the core game, which is again pretty bad. But anyway, let's move on to some more happy news, I guess. FlatHub opens an official forum. Now, FlatHub, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the main repository for Flatpaks out there, and it's well, it's mostly the standard repository, the de facto standard repository for anything Flatpak. So I have some of my apps are there, and many actual third-party apps are in there as well, including proprietary software and stuff like that. So of course, if you want to run proprietary software on your Linux system, it's better if you do through Flatpak or Snap or any other kind of isolation layer. But anyway, FlatHub is mainly built around GitHub, and the way that you submit apps, that you update your apps and all that kind of stuff, it's all done through GitLab and other custom solutions, including like BuildBot that's connected to the GitHub repositories and issue system and pull request system. But of course, GitHub isn't really a platform to build a community. And they mentioned in the blog post that IRC isn't viable either because of time zones and personal commitments of various sorts. Of course, IRC being a chat, it's difficult to ask a question and wait for someone to reply. It's better if you have a more asynchronous communication system, like a forum in this case. And for this reason, FlatHub actually opened a discourse forum for new app requests, announcements, and general discussion about FlatHub. Now, hopefully this will make a bigger community form around FlatHub, and maybe more people interested in using the technology will just have a better place to learn about it and get help when needed. Let's jump over to the chat and see what's going on there. The Synergy 1987 says, my guess would be that they don't have any OpenGL or Vulkan savvy developers. Well, that's one possibility, but of course, for a company that has lots of money like Epic or even Psyonix, I mean, they're pretty big considering how popular the game is. They could have just hired someone. I mean, that's not a proper excuse. And even if some of the developers doesn't know Vulkan or okay, OpenGL, I don't want to even talk about OpenGL at this point because I consider it dead, because it wasn't really it was never really all that great in the first place, and Vulkan is just the logical continuation of that, and it's overall just better. But anyway, even if they didn't have any people that knew Vulkan right away, I mean, they could have just told someone, hey, learn Vulkan, because we need that to upgrade to new technologies. That's just the correct decision. But of course, they didn't want to invest any actual money or effort into actually improving the game. They just want to make more money out of it, and probably this engine migration has to do with the deprecation of Windows 7, and possibly even DirectX 9 has been out for a long time, and I'm pretty sure that at some point support for it will just end, as well as it did for Windows 7 and other Microsoft technologies. So they're just jumping to another ship that's already doomed to fail, because OpenGL, while it's practically defunct at this point because of Vulkan, it's still actively developed, and there are still people fixing bugs with OpenGL and working on it actively. While with DirectX, I have no idea what's going on with it, and I'm pretty sure that at some point DirectX 9 support will end, and that's probably what this move why this move was done, because they need to jump to another engine that's more modern, that has active support, and or well, more than engine, really, well, rendering a language or something. But again, it doesn't justify this move, because they did have to, someone has to learn DirectX 12, or if they have no developers that know it already or that are willing to learn it, they just have to hire one. So why not just do Vulkan instead? It doesn't make any logical sense. And to be honest, if I want to put on my tinfoil hat, I can just guess that they're receiving some compensation from Microsoft or some other big player to not use Vulkan. I don't know. I don't really know at this point. The only thing that I know is that Epic, in the first place, has never been a very friendly company towards the whole open source and Linux community. So this move was kind of expected in a way. Anyway, let's move on to the next news for today, which is still related to graphics, and it's Mesa 20.0 will default to the new Intel Gallium 3D driver for faster OpenGL performance. So, if you don't know, the Intel graphics cards that you find integrated in your Intel CPUs use the i965 driver to run. And for a while now, there's been some discussions, and Intel has tried to, Intel and Mesa, I mean, have tried to move on to another driver called Gallium 3D, which will reportedly deliver faster OpenGL performance, and a measurable one in that sense. So with the release of Mesa 20.0, we'll see the default to this new driver instead of the i965 driver, and this change will happen for graphics card for Intel GPUs of Broadwell generation or later. So anything that's newer than Haswell, so newer than the 4th generation of Intel processors, will run with this new driver. So just to make a brief list, this should include 5th generation Broadwell, 6th generation Skylake, 7th generation Kaby Lake, and 8th generation Coffee Lake, and whatever is after the 8th generation. I lost count after that, and they're basically all Coffee Lake anyway. So there's that. Hopefully when we will see this landing, I will have the possibility to try it out and test the performance difference for myself, as I do have my laptop that runs on integrated graphics. It'd be nice to have a little bit more graphical horsepower. Let's jump back to the chat, and Mehdi Okik, sorry if I butchered your name. Hey, how are you doing with GTK development? I didn't know you wrote Hydra paper until recently. Thanks for the question. So yeah, I actually do some GTK development on my own. I did two biggest apps that I wrote are Hydra paper, as Mehdi said, and Hydra paper is a wallpaper manager for multiple monitors. Now there's this well, I want to say bug, but it's really a lack of feature in GNOME and other GNOME-based desktop environments, which is that you cannot set a different wallpaper for each monitor. Well, at least not easily. There's no built-in tool to do that. And so at some point, I decided to just try to fix this issue, or at least work around it, because you see, you can have a different wallpaper for each monitor on GNOME, and the way you do it is you just create one big image that's the exact resolution of your combined monitors, and have basically do the collage yourself and set the wallpaper as spanned. And that's what I did with Hydra Paper. And it started as a Python script, or well, maybe a bash script even, using ImageMagick, and then it grew, and it actually became a full-fledged application. If you want to check it out, it's a pretty neat project. And even if you have one single monitor, you can add different folders and enable and disable them. It's a pretty neat app that many people actually seem to enjoy, and I'm really happy for that. And the other app I'm working on is called Feeds, and I've actually talked about it quite a lot in these live streams recently. So Feeds is, as the name suggests, an RSS and newsreader for the GNOME desktop. It's really, of course, it works on other desktops. It's just that it's made using the GTK and the GNOME human interface guidelines. So there's that. And the thing about Feeds is that it's a very simple app, and it just does one thing, and that's deliver news to you. And it offers some really nice features, of course, like parallel downloads and reader mode, and you can actually save articles for offline reading. And I mean, there isn't all that much to it. Other than that, it's still in development, or it still hasn't reached 1.0, because in my opinion it's still not feature complete. But it's actually I actually use it almost every day at this point, and it's a really nice app. If you want a GTK newsreader, you can just try it out for yourself and see how you like it. And maybe, I don't know, if you want a new feature, or if you find a bug, you can just report an issue. Of course, that they very much appreciated. So anything else about GTK development? I'm not doing so much of it for now, at least. Well, I'm doing some fixes with feeds and some features here and there, but not much, to be honest. Mostly because I recently, actually in October, I started my master's degree in computer science. So I actually moved, and I am now in Milan. And I have some quite a lot of pressure with studying and exams and all that kind of stuff. So it's more of a lack of time, to be honest, and that's part of the reason why I started doing these live streams, because I just want to dedicate myself to the channel, but for my style of videos, if you want to say that, I just need more time to prepare a video, to work on it, and to actually do something that I would enjoy watching myself. So doing live streams, it's just easier for me, because I can just hit record or hit stream, and here I am talking, doing videos, and of course interacting with you guys, my community, which it's really the greatest thing about live streaming. Being able to actually interact in real time with you is something that I really appreciate. But anyway, anything else for GTK development? I haven't started any new projects, mostly because I don't have any itches to scratch, if you want to say that. Of course, if you have any suggestions, maybe you want some kind of app that some kind of functionality that you're missing, or something that you want to say something like, hey, maybe someone should make an app for that. Just hit me with a comment or a message in the Telegram group, and we can talk about it. Any ideas or suggestions are always appreciated. Anyway, Thanks for the question again, and I think we can move on to the next topic for today. Linux 5.5 is probably going to release tomorrow, Sunday, the 26th of January. And along with it, we'll be seeing, of course, lots of improvements, but the main thing that I really wanted to focus on is AMD GPU Navi overclocking. And if you don't know yet, I do have a Navi 5700 XT GPU from AMD. And of course, it's a great GPU. And honestly, anything I threw at it, it just I cannot get to stress this GPU 100%. I have a 60 hertz 1440p monitor, and I can max out anything and get 60 hertz with anything I throw at it. But eventually the time will come when I get a high refresh rate display, or when I will find a game that actually needs a little bit more horsepower. And when that happens, overclocking is really one of the best options you have to squeeze that little bit more performance out of your GPU. And up until now, of course, overclocking for AMD GPUs has been available for everything up to Vega, but still there's no support for Navi. So they are apparently including that in Linux 5.5, which is really nice. And of course, it will use the same CSFS interface that it already uses for older AMD GPU cards. But anyway, this will of course mean that you will be able to use any front end that makes use of the underlying backend, and that includes Core CTL and other software that allows you to graphically overclock your AMD GPU. Of course, with overclocking, you have to be careful what you're doing, because there's always the chance that you can just ruin your GPU. So be careful with that. But if you know what you're doing, or if you're willing to learn and you're not too afraid of breaking your expensive GPU, give it a try. And from tomorrow on, we'll probably see if you wanna buy, if you already have a Navi GPU, you'll be able to overclock it on Linux. And speaking of Navi, AMD actually recently released their new card, the 5600 XT. I just want to make a quick mention of it, just because I know that many people are actively looking for a GPU to buy, and I was there at some point myself, so I know the struggle, the confusion of what the market has to offer. Anyway, the 5600 XT is a great GPU that's very close specs wise to the 5700 non-XT. It has a lower bus speed, and overall all the other specs are very similar to the 5700 XT. And the great thing is that it starts at about $280, which is about the same price of the 1660 either Ti or Super from Nvidia. The Nvidia GPU names are really confusing with his latest series. But anyway, the great thing here is that for a very low price of about $300, you get lots of performance. And apparently this GPU has been unlocked by AMD with a recent VBIOS update to respond to Nvidia actually lowering the prices when the 5600 XT actually hit the market. And apparently with this new VBIOS, you get the performance you get is higher than that of the 2060, which is just great. And again, I cannot stress enough how great AMD GPUs are on Linux, mostly because of the fact that the drivers are open source and into the mainline kernel. So that's just a great thing, that you can go ahead and install any modern distribution with a modern kernel and have it work out of the box without installing any driver whatsoever. So again, if you're looking for a $300-ish GPU, look out for the 5600 XT. And let's move on to the next news for today. Zwei version 1.4 just got released. And Zwei is a tiling window manager that's heavily inspired by i3 window manager, and it's one that I've tried myself actually for quite a lot. It's probably the first window manager that I really actually enjoyed using. So the thing about Zwei is that differently from any other like old style window manager, it's actually a Wayland compositor. So it's when you use Way, you're actually using Wayland, which is pretty great. And of course, with Wayland, since Wayland support is not really 100% there for all of the features that Xorg has, we're still lacking some features. But of course, with time, those features get actually get added back. And today it's one of those times. With Zwei version 1.4, we see support for VNC via Way VNC. So Way VNC is just a VNC server for WL roots based Wayland compositors, and Zwei being one of them. This means that you will be able to use VNC on Zwei. And the nice thing is that you don't even need to have an actual monitor. You can run it headless, and just maybe if you have like a remote workstation, or if you rent a server somewhere, or I mean one of those virtual workstations that you can buy, that you can rent on AWS or something, you can just use Zwei and connect to it via VNC and Way VNC. One other nice thing with this release is that it adds partial support for the Mate panel. And this is actually very useful, particularly for since Zwei and many window managers don't actually come with a panel, you have the choice of using whatever panel you prefer. And the Mate panel is actually one of the more user-friendly ones out there. And with a nice panel like that, I mean, you can basically have a very modern and easy to use desktop environment like thing, just using the lightweight Zwei window manager. And I already envision like a very nice setup using the indicators in the Mate panel, and something like the brisk menu, and possibly even some window navigation, or a kind of a dock thing that make Zwei very, very nice and very usable even for new users. And I'm really happy to see the direction the project is going. It started out as a very small project, and I think the community saw it as most of a joke, but at this point it's a very complete project. Even if it's not yet 100%, it's very usable and a very nice experience. And let's move on to the next news for today. The Pinebook Pro is out, and it's been out for a while now. I just wanted to talk about it. Of course, I don't have one in my hands, because I cannot justify the expense, because I don't need an Ultrabook. Even if the Pinebook Pro is really cheap, it's just $200 for a very nice magnesium alloy premium feeling laptop that's actually running within ARM SoC. So you heard it right. It doesn't have an x86 CPU. It's all ARM based, and it's basically running off a glorified smartphone CPU. The nice thing about the Pinebook Pro, of course, it ships with Linux by default, and I'm pretty sure that's the only option you have. And I've been reading a lot about it recently, and people that actually have got them in their hands are really happy with both the performance, considering the hardware, and the overall fit and finish of the device. I mean, it's a very premium feeling laptop that's again built with magnesium alloy, and of course it's metal all around, and the screen apparently is really good as well. It's a 1080p panel, and apparently even pretty bright and color accurate. The thing that I really like about the Pinebook Pro is that the barrier to entry to get one is so low. It's just $200, And to be honest, if I didn't have an ultrabook, even if I had like one of those chunky laptops, right, I just always want an ultrabook as an option in my computer arsenal, if you want. And if I didn't have already an ultrabook, I'd have bought the Pinebook Pro right away, because it's a great machine, and for an ultrabook, it does all that I need to do. And that's it. I just wanted to talk about the MacBook Pro. If you're interested in a very cheap and very high quality ultrabook that runs Linux, just give it a go. I'm pretty sure you will like it. And with that, guys, I'm out of topics for today. So I think we can just end it here. It's been a very short episode, but I mean, there's quite a lot going on lately in my life, so I didn't have too much time to prepare a full-blown episode. But I think I managed to make it work. All right, guys. If you don't have anything to say, I think we can just end it up here. All right. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to press the thumbs up button down there. Remember to press the subscribe button if you want more of these, and join the Awesome Tech Pills community. You'll find the link in the description. It's techpills.technology/community, and as you see here, we have all the QR codes for the various communities: Telegram, my personal GitLab, and Discord. All right, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.